Is a higher glute on the left side, so it's more raised glute. It's also slightly superior. The gluteal fold is also superior, so typically that would be indicative of an ASI in ilium, which is basically an anterior rocked ilium. As I bring the legs together, he does have quite a bit of adduction stress. And so to me, that means that there's potentially something more going on at the sacrum, potentially a posterior rock sacrum on the left. That's the listing that would go along with an ASI and ilium. So now I'm looking for bunching when I bring the legs or heel to glute, but that actually moves pretty decent. So let's go ahead and check in on the palpation. So it's actually more of an L5. So if it was sacrum, as I bring the heel to the glute, you would see everything bunch up into one area. At the base, if it's bunching at the base, then it's more of a base posterior. If it's bunching at the apex, then it's usually an apex subluxation. Since it didn't, I believe it's actually an L5. And it's feeling more like a PLS that I am going to end up pulling. So I'll put the involved side down. So there's a spinous rotation and wedge to the left side. I'm going to put that side down. We're going to bring this side up. Go this side up for me. Face me this way. There we go, just like that. So we like to set the people up in a neutral position, foot, ankle, hip, all in alignment. Usually there'd be some support underneath the head. Right now, it's okay. So I'm sinking and compressing into the L5 from neutral. When the system's at neutral, you can actually get way closer, and it's not a push. I lay my fingers on and then use my body to lean in, and that way I don't get a response of the system to fight back and push back against me. Then from there, I'll start to find where it opens up. So for him, when I bring his knee right there, starts to open. Now I can roll, starting to isolate that joint. It's right there, and I continue. Sweet. You can go back to your stomach. All right. So already just looking at him on the table, you got balancing of the glutes. You're not as compressed on that left side. The gluteal fold is balanced from an L5 adjustment. So good. Now here's something you can see. You can read the tensegrity of a living system through the heels based on how much traction you put at the heel. And so right here, it goes through the system pretty well. It gets stuck on the left side right there, and you can see where it's actually starting to bunch. It's bunching right here. So watch this. There's his next subluxation. So next subluxation is like a T12L1 subluxation, and his fascial system has an inferior pull this way. So we're gonna actually traction through the fascia as a long lever for this, because as I fill into here, there's not a lot of fixation. However, that is a stuck anchor point for the rest of the myofascial system, and it's anchoring in this way. So we're actually gonna use a superior fascial pull to release this joint. So I'm actually, even though I'm going here, I'm going superior of my contact, but I'm focusing. It released 3 levels lower. See, well, I should start talking about what I'm doing more, because people really don't understand the depth here. That's so much better. Yeah. Okay, well, too bad. Okay, so we adjusted L5 that helped balance the pelvis. We adjusted at the T9 level for a T12 subluxation using the fascial pull and the tensegrity of the system. Now we're checking the neck. Okay, so for Jamal, really clear on the left side. He's got a slight distortion at the C6 on C7, so it's going to be our unilateral facet adjustment. it's gonna come through in this direction. It needs to come inferior to superior because that's the line of the facets, right? There's a slight supination of the wrist and hand to create a torque component, which is gonna increase speed. So we're here. So that was more superficial, still got the release just on the C6 on C7 on the right side. That's the only joint that cavitated. So again, you can adjust really from any vector in a 360. That was for the posterior aspect of the joint going anterior just through the right side. And if you put the right amount of impulse, you'll just get the gap in the actual sound, release the cavitation just on the joint that you want, not through the entire vertebral joint line. Perfect. Set.